So today I'm going to run you through 4 things that I really look for and like to see in every single golfer that I coach. So we know that every golf swing is different, and we know that every person is different. We're all built different sizes, we're all built with different amounts of strength and different arm lengths and leg lengths. So we know that there's going to be, unique movements in your swing that nobody else has, but there's also things that we all kind of need to do. We all need to kind of play our game by the ball flight laws. We all need to be able to hit the ball at the center of the face, and there's things that we all need to be able to do, but we do them in different ways. And in this video I'm going to explain to you the 4 things that I really like to see in every single golfer, because I believe these help you and can help you play some better golf. So let's dive straight into the first thing, which is something in setup. So the first thing I look for is just how a golfer addresses the golf ball, and what we're really looking at in this particular video is how they set the body, because we know that we have to move the body in the backswing. We have to make a rotation, we have to make a turn, and we have to make that turn on an angle. So if we position the body incorrectly at the setup, it makes that very difficult to achieve. So I'm going to get rid of the golf club to begin with. But the key things I really like to see here, and we're talking specifically about an iron shot here, I like to see the hips a little bit forward at setup, which sets about 55% of weight into that lead side. And I like to see a small amount of angle in the hips and a small amount of angle in the shoulders. And that would put the belt buckle slightly ahead of my sternum. Those are the things that I really like to see at setup, because what that does is the little bit of weight on that lead side just helps me with my kind of ball strike and helps me get my low point target side of the ball, or encourages that to happen. And the fact that I've got a little bit of angle in my hips, a little bit of angle in my shoulders, and that slight sort of difference between the belt buckle and the upper body really sets my tone for how I'm going to rotate my body. If I get those things incorrect, this is quite common, very difficult for me to move my body in the correct way, and other things become a lot more difficult. So number 1 thing would be something in the setup. We've got weight a little forward, hips a little forward, angle in the hips, angle in the shoulders. Those are the things I really like to see at setup, because they're really going to help you move your body better. And if you move your body better, you're going to hit the ball more consistently, and you're going to hit the ball further as well. So the second thing I like to see in every golfer is that they are able to control the club face. Massive, as I'm sure you can appreciate. If the golf club face isn't controlled, we really struggle with direction. Now the important thing here is I look for how a golfer is able to control the club face. That doesn't mean they have to grip it or hold it in a certain way. So let's give an example of a golfer who has got, let's say, a very, very weak top hand, where the hand is very much underneath the handle, and let's say they've also got a very weak trail hand. That wouldn't be what we'd class as a neutral grip. But if they can control the club face and put it in exactly the right positions through the golf swing, then why would I dive in and change that grip? If that same golfer with that same grip gets the club face extremely open, then yes, we might look at changing the grip. So in this particular video, I'm not really looking at the grip, I'm looking at the ability to control the club face. And what I'm specifically looking for here is, where does that golfer put the club face at the top of their golf swing? What I'd really like to see is around about, and this is my kind of guesstimate, the lead forearm and the leading edge are pretty much matched at the top of the golf swing. This will be a golf club which is trending towards too closed, and this will be a golf club which is trending towards too open. Now, trending towards too closed, for me, is a much better option. We can play golf from there. Lots of good things can happen. We can, match that with some better body rotations. We can match that with some more shaft lean to help neutralize that face. Good things can happen. As soon as that golf club starts to move towards that toe down position and that more weak or open face, then yes, we can also add some things in there to improve it, but those things are often sort of releasing the club early, leaving the weight back, not rotating as much, and those things don't tend to help us. So the second thing I really like to see is a neutral or slightly strong club face at the top of the golf swing. The reason I say at the top of the golf swing is because for most of us, recreational golfers, amateur golfers, we don't have much time to practice, we don't have as much time to play as we would like. It's incredibly difficult to fix it on the way down if it's not good at the top. Some of the best players in the world can do that because they're spending hours and hours of practice time, hours and hours of time on the range. But for us, if the golf club isn't correct at the top, it's almost impossible for us to fix it consistently. So for me, number 2 thing that I look for in a golf swing is that golfer has the ability to control that club face, get it neutral or slightly closed at the top. And I don't really mind how they place the hands on the golf club in order to do that. So if you're looking at your golf swing on camera, check the top, check the club face. If it's okay, tick that off. If it's not, you maybe need to do a little bit of work on your grip or a little bit of work on the twists that you apply to the golf club in order to check that position that we've just mentioned. Third thing I look for, and this is hugely related to strike and the golfer's ability to hit the golf ball and then the ground, something that not many golfers do well enough. We know that when the ball is on the ground, we like the golf club to have its low point after the ball by, some 3 or 4 inches. And in many cases, that means that you'll be taking a divot. That does depend on the club you're using. It also depends on the ground conditions. But one of the really key elements in order to do that, and this is point number 3, is I really, really like to see a good early weight or pressure shift into that lead side. And we can see that really by how much the hips are moving sort of laterally and how much this left hip is staying lower than the right hip in that early phase. So there's 2 things here: pressure shift into that lead side and keeping that left hip lower than the right hip for a little bit longer. Very, very common, and this is more through concept because people have been told in the past you start the downswing by bumping your hips. If you get to the top and you bump your hips, you often get this. You often don't get the pressure into that lead side because it tips your head back. The lead hip gets a little higher, we get excessive body tilts, and you're going to hit the ground early or you're going to top the golf ball. So yes, we want the hips to be moving laterally towards the target, but I really want you to think about that as a pressure shift and actually keeping that left hip a little bit lower than the right hip for a little bit longer. Those hips shouldn't level out until you get towards around about this last parallel in the downswing. If you can do that, if you can get your weight into that lead side early enough and you can get that pressure going down into the ground and the hip angle we've spoken about, it hugely increases your chances of striking the ball well. It also increases your chances of delivering the handle forwards. And just those 2 things alone are going to give you so much more improvement in the ball flight. You're probably going to hit it further. You're probably going to hit it stronger ball flight, and you're probably going to hit it more consistently out of the middle of the club, which just feels better. And sometimes being on the golf course is just about enjoying the golf game and having those shots which come right at the middle and they just feel really good. So a good early pressure shift into that lead side is the 3rd thing that I really like to see in every golf swing. And finally, the last thing that I really look for is how a golfer moves their trail arm. Unfortunately, this is never or rarely done as well as we would like. Now, if we can get the trail arm working well, it kind of tends to take care of a lot of things. It tends to mean that the golf club has a pretty neutral path, meaning the golf club travels towards the target or thereabouts. It also generally tends to mean that we are able to store the power for a little bit longer. If that trail arm doesn't work very well, those 2 things are compromised. We often get the path coming out to in, a pretty common problem. We also find that the handle often gets delivered too far back, again, a very, very common problem. And some of the things that we've tried to encourage through this video just get lost in impact. So the strike gets poor, the direction gets poor, the ball flight is high, it's weak, we don't transfer as much energy, and all those kind of things might sound quite familiar to you in your golf game. So here's a great little drill to help you kind of understand how to move that trail arm. Get yourself a dress without a golf club and just place your hands down and just make a backswing. Now, what you're hopefully going to find is fairly naturally your trail arm finds a really nice position. It has a nice bend in it and it has some what we call external rotation. Now, the key thing here would be take your left arm, hook it around the back of your elbow, and as you start to deliver, I want you to rotate and feel as if you're turning your palm down to face the ground. So notice what my palm is doing. My palm is pointing more down towards the ground, but the elbow is still working in front of me. For a lot of golfers, when they try and get their palm down towards the ground, they're going to do it this way. Now the elbow is very high and it points more up and behind me, and from that face on camera we can see that we get this huge gap here between the side of the body and the arm. This look or this image is very, very common, and if you struggle with ball flight, if you struggle with strike, if you struggle with curve, there's a very, very good chance that you're going to struggle and fall into that position. So this is a great little exercise. The important thing here is the palm, because if I don't turn the palm down towards the ground, I'm going to have an excessively open club face. So I want you to take this as a little snapshot, as a little image as to how your trail arm should be positioned as you get towards impact. Notice how the elbow is leading the hand, the palm is facing the ground, and I still have got some nice bend in that arm as it's beginning to start to straighten. Wouldn't you feel comfortable with that? Go ahead and do that with a golf club. So as I take my address, I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to work that back, palm starts to face, and when that palm starts to face down, that's what controls that club face and gets it pointing at the ground. That allows me to now be very, very strong through the impact area. And if the trail arm works well, like I said, many good things happen. We get lots of pressure on the golf ball, which is often what gives those shots those really solid strike feeling. We get the path, which is pretty good, and we get lots of club head speed, and those are the things that most golfers want. And potentially you'll watch this video thinking, yep, I would love those things. I'd love to have that strike more solid. I'd love to have more compression. Really want to work on my path. I'd like more power. So hopefully those things are going to give that for you. So certainly I wouldn't want you to go and work on all 4 of those things, because it may well be that they're not all an issue in your golf swing. It may be that you take a look at your golf swing, you put it on video, and you might see 1 or 2 of those things could do with improving. Those aren't certainly the only things I look for, and those aren't, you know, the essentials to play great golf, but they're things that I really see as being, you know, things that really move the needle with a golfer's game. You work on those things and you will start to see improvement in the shot dispersion, the flights, the consistency, the distance, and those are the things that really help us lower our scores. So let's go ahead and hit once if I can put all those things together. 175 target is where I'm going. And with any luck, I got pretty close to all 4 of those things that we discussed in this video. So thanks for watching. Usual stuff is down below. Would love to hear your thoughts on this video. Comments box down there. Let me know what you think. Like button if you did like the video, and also please subscribe if you're not. It is absolutely free. More videos like this coming each and every week. Thanks for watching. We'll hopefully see you back here again soon.